So what if the federal government could give you a stimulus check every single year, or even better, every single month? Well, this is potentially on the table. Not only that, the federal government could save Social Security. We could see all these different benefit programs. These could actually get better. We could see more people receiving SNAP benefits, more people receiving Social Security, more people receiving, unemployment or enhanced unemployment. And as far as housing assistance, that could even be better as well. And it's all because of what President Trump is doing. But some experts say this is troubling. This is what's going on. Look at this. It says President Trump says government will make deals like Intel stake all day long. Essentially what happened, the federal government has taken a 10% stake in Intel. Okay? Intel, that's a rival company to Nvidia, the AMD, but they have actually struggled. I want to read a little bit to you. Look at this right here. It says, President Trump on Monday boasted about the government's new stake in Intel and said he's determined to do similar deals. He says, I will make deals like that for our country all day long. Says Trump's added that excuse me. Trump added that stupid people are upset with the move that he said will bring more money and jobs to the U.S. Goes on to say, I will also help those companies that make such lucrative deals with the United States. I love seeing their stock price go up, making the U.S. richer and richer. More jobs for America. Who would not want to make deals like that? Well, here's where things get very interesting. It's not just Intel, okay? Intel's one of them. Look at this, though. This is from Howard Lutnick just this morning. Says Trump Pentagon weighing equity stakes in defense contractors like Lockheed Martin. Okay, let's read a little bit of that. It says, top officials at the Pentagon are thinking about whether the U.S. should acquire equity stakes in leading defense contractors such as Lockheed Martin, Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick said on Tuesday. The Cabinet Secretary, in an interview on CNBC's Squawk Box, revealed the government's interest in taking those stakes days after the U.S. government acquired 10% of Intel stock in a roughly $9 billion deal. Lutnick was asked if the Trump administration would repeat the move with other companies that do business with the government. And Lutnick replied, there's a monstrous discussion about defense. Says Lockheed, which makes most of its revenue from federal contracts, is basically an arm of the U.S. government. Now, a lot of people have been upset about Lockheed Martin, the amount of money that the United States government puts into Lockheed. But here's the thing. If the United States government now takes a stake in the company and can and again, we're not just pushing billions of dollars over to these companies with nothing in return. Now we're taking a stake, an ownership stake. That means if there's an upside, if the stock does better, if the company builds and expands and comes to the United States, right? I know Lockheed is, but anyway, if more companies decide to come to the United States and they do so because they want the U.S.'s investment, just think about that. Think about what this could mean for things like Social Security. President Trump said it's going to bring more jobs to the United States. Well, I want to read this article to you as well. It's from NBC News. It says, what a stake in Intel could mean for U.S. taxpayers now and in the future. Let's read a little bit of this article because, again, this is pretty big. It says right here, the administration has not provided any details about when or under what circumstances it would sell the Intel shares or whether it would sell them at all. Nor did it say whether the United States would benefit from any dividends, although Intel has not paid out any since last year. The administration does not plan to take any board seats and has said it will vote against the company only in limited circumstances. Here's what's interesting, though. They don't say if they're going to take any dividends from the company. Again, Intel hasn't paid them recently, but they will come back to that eventually, hopefully. So this investment into Intel, if Intel goes and let's say it doubles, okay, and they get, $20 billion, right? That is good. According to economists, they say this is a good use of taxpayer dollars to invest into companies that will go up in value, that then the United States can sell out of their stake and they can just make the profit. That would be great, right? Well, that's exactly what the Trump administration believes. And here's what's interesting about this. The Trump administration and Republicans in general have been talking about privatizing Social Security, have been talking about tying Social Security to things like the stock market, and not just the Treasury market, because again, even though it's guaranteed, it's very slow moving. Let's tie it to the stock market, because then you can see some massive upswings. And as long as you're consistent, historically, you're going to return about 7% a year. So that's what they're saying is we are better off investing into the stock market, investing into companies, sound companies. And again, I bring this to your attention because with the U.S. government taking a stake in Intel, 10% stake, and discussing potentially taking a stake into Lockheed Martin, that's big. Okay, that is actually very big, especially from the government side. Because if we have more money, we can pay down our debt faster. Okay, we honestly can. And if we have more money to pay down our debt, we can use more of that money that's going to interest, and we can use that to build, to better the economy, to do more, right? To help out other countries if we need to. The United States at this point doesn't have the luxury to help out other countries. We still do it, but again, we're going deeper and deeper into debt as a result. But the big one, could we see some of this money go back to the American people through a Social Security check, enhanced unemployment, right? That's a big one, and stimulus. Here's the reason why they're discussing it. According to multiple reports, just in the past 24 hours, they are saying that there has been discussions for years, not for days, for years, potentially 5 years more or even more. And the reason for this is AI. Everybody believes that AI is going to take over millions of jobs. As it does, more people are going to need enhanced unemployment. And if that runs out or when it runs out, they're going to need some type of stimulus. Okay? Or what many people call universal basic income. Just income to live. Okay? That's it. And the reason why they're bringing this up now is because what President Trump just did, or with the Trump administration, and taking a stake in Intel, talking about a stake in Lockheed Martin, that's huge. That, along with this, says Trump is bringing in enough revenue from tariffs to cut deficits by $4 trillion over the next decade. This is according to the Congressional Budget Office. Okay? So when the Congressional Budget Office, the CBO, says we are going to cut deficit by $4 trillion over the next 10 years, that's huge. So that, the tariffs, along with investing into some of these companies, because again, if we take tariff revenue and we buy into some of these companies, that's pretty good, right? Again, I want to know your thoughts. What do you think about this? Because based off what these reports are saying over the past few days, is that what the Trump administration just did by taking a stake in Intel and now potentially taking more stakes in, let's say, a government contractor like Lockheed Martin, that's huge. Because again, we're putting billions and billions of dollars into Lockheed's pockets every single year. Now, at least we get a reward from that. So we'll see what's going to happen. But again, this is still fairly new. This is still early on. So let me know your thoughts. Do you think this is a good move for the United States? Or do you think this is a bad move and this is only going to cause more problems than anything else?